You know, I thought I would get my Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul review done and released this weekend, but then, not only was I busy with other things such as building the new desk for my workspace and gaming, but speaking of gaming, this embarrassing piece of news happened. This is what it looks like.
Oh, right. Well, that's easy, because as of today, we are no longer making spare parts.
My god, Robots has aged better than I thought it would. Hey guys, how you doing? This is Caleb Dirksen, creator of Captain Toonland Reviews, formerly Caleb Reviews, and host of the Danville Discussion podcast, and also a gamer. This is not only a very sad month, but also a very infuriating month for gamers, especially those who grew up with the PlayStation brand, as not only did Sony announce the discontinuation of the PlayStation Store on the PS3 and PS Vita in 2027, but on top of that, they also announced that they are actually putting an end to physical games for PlayStation starting in 2028 once the PlayStation 6 is out. Upon hearing this news, I was shocked, but at the same time, I wasn't that surprised because companies like Sony and Microsoft have been pushing for digital games way more than physical games this entire decade with PlayStation and Xbox respectively, and the mid-2020s have been a really bad time for video games, such as Sony doubling down on AI and having a stupidly expensive launch for the PS5 Pro without a disc drive included, and that's why I just stuck with the PS5 Slim disc model. Plus, Microsoft laying off tons of developer employees, and now they're possibly on the verge of literally letting go of the company behind Banjo-Kazooie, Rockstar being disgusting with their ableism and their awful release strategy with Grand Theft Auto 6, like, no thank you, I'm just gonna go back to GTA 5 or San Andreas, thank you very much. And Valve really pushing it with the price of the Steam machine to the point that it's always better to just have a Windows or Linux PC with Steam installed. Granted, Nintendo hasn't been too much better with how the Switch 2 games and accessories are priced, and that whole game keycard scenario where the game data has to be downloaded over internet access, but at least they're still continuing to release physical games, and honestly, being a Switch 2 owner myself, I'm actually more proud to be a Switch 2 owner than to want a next-generation PlayStation console that's digital only. Seriously, I don't think I have ever been this furious since I did that Norm of the North 2 review a few years ago. This could be the stupidest excuse for comedy I have ever consumed in any piece of media. I hate you! No physical games starting in 2028? Oh my god, you can all the way off, Sony Interactive Entertainment. What kind of Mr. Burns bullcrap am I looking at with this news? Like, is Sony really that desperate? Don't you think this is gonna discourage people from buying your next PlayStation console? Stop making everything all digital, for God's sake! I already released a video last year on why we need physical media more than ever in this day and age. They are actively betraying their customers by taking away what made PlayStation a beloved brand in the leaks of Nintendo and Xbox, ending production on physical games for their own brand. For the love of God, I've been collecting consoles, mostly older ones, at least once a year for several years now, and I started owning a PlayStation console in 2020 when I got my PS1 from Amazon. Then I got a PS3 in 2021, also from Amazon. Then a PS2 in 2022, found at a local thrift store. And last year, I got the PS5 Slim, which is also backward compatible with PS4 games. And guess what? All of them have a disc drive, and I have a bunch of physical PlayStation games for those consoles, meaning that they're actually mine to own forever. Crash Bandicoot, Animaniacs 10-Pin Alley, Kingdom Hearts, GTA Vice City and San Andreas, Resistance Fall of Man, Assassin's Creed, BioShock 1 and 2, Little Big Planet, Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, Uncharted 2, Red Dead Redemption, Phineas and Ferb Across the Second Dimension, GTA 5, even freaking Spider-Man on PS4, and I have zero intentions on letting go of any of those games anytime soon. And not only that, since the PlayStation home consoles also function as a massive entertainment center, I also use my PlayStation consoles to play all of my physical movies, TV shows, and music CDs when I'm not playing games. I'm currently using my PS1 as a CD player, I use my PS2 as a DVD player for the CRT television in my bedroom, I use my PS3 as my bedroom Blu-ray player for the small flat screen, and I use my PS5 as my main DVD and Blu-ray player out here in the living room. If you want to see my other physical games, I have a whole bunch of Nintendo games, from the N64 to the GameCube to the DS to the Wii to the Switch, and I have a couple Xbox games, a copy of Halo on my original Xbox, and a copy of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts on my Xbox 360, and I have a few Sega Genesis games. If that's not enough to show you how much I love physical games and how much ownership I have over them, then I don't know what is. Seriously, the amount of greed that Sony is showing off with this news is thoroughly disgusting. It is actually insane how these morons would pull this stunt and not expect their consumers to be angry at this. No physical games on a console is something that should absolutely be called out on these companies for. A PlayStation 6 that has no disc drive at all, that has no physical games, that has games that are likely to cost as much money as a one-night stay at a hotel, is an idea that could severely damage your reputation as a video game company. And if Sony doesn't pull a yike soon with this bullcrap, the PlayStation brand, along with Microsoft's Xbox brand, are gonna eventually see the same fate as those who were previously in the console business. This is a terrible anti-consumer method for those who want to actually own their games. And what's even worse is that this news literally came out after they removed access to several digital movies that people purchased from the PlayStation Store. Thankfully, Apple very rarely does that with their digital movies and TV shows. But honestly, this abhorrent act of getting rid of physical games on PlayStation and going heavy on AI in future games absolutely smells of I hope the PS6 fails miserably. And here's the thing. With the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita stores shutting down next year, I already got some digital PS3 games myself on my PS3, including its versions of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, and once the store closes, I'll most likely still be able to re-download those games if I don't have them installed on my PS3. But even then, you wouldn't fully own the game because if you didn't get to purchase it before the digital store would shut down, you wouldn't be able to get that digital game in the first place if there was no other way. At least it's better than trying to get an English language Dreamcast copy nowadays, because now those cost nearly $100, considering that I never owned a Dreamcast or either Sonic Adventure game before I got them for my PS3. There's also the GameCube versions, but those don't count as much. And if I'm reviewing the Phineas and Ferb video games on the Danville discussion one day, Day of Doofenshmirtz, the fifth and last PNF game that was released, came out exclusively on the PS Vita in 2015 as a digital download around the world, and as a physical version in Europe and Australia, unlike the previous four games, which were mainly released on Nintendo consoles besides the PS3 and PSP versions of Across the Second Dimension, and the Xbox 360 version of Quest for Cool Stuff. And because I currently don't have a PS Vita and might not be able to afford one before the store shuts down, now I'll have to either look for an imported physical European copy on somewhere like eBay, as long as it doesn't cost too much money, considering that the PS Vita is region free, or buy the game and DLC digitally from my PS3 before the store shuts down, since you can in fact buy PS Vita games on the PS3 store, and then download and play it on the PS Vita once I eventually save up for one. So technically yes, you'll still be able to re-download previously purchased PS3 and PS Vita digital games after their stores have ended, but it won't really have the long-lasting ownership impact that physical games have. But still, with this news on the end of physical PlayStation games, this is just really infuriating and scummy. Remember when Animat used to have his Sony Pictures animation hate phase before Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out, and how he took his disdain of films like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Hotel Transylvania, and the Emoji Movie a bit too far, to which he admitted and apologized for, where he really improved a lot afterwards? Imagine that hatred, but directed towards a different part of Sony with the PlayStation brand for getting rid of physical games, and I would direct my anger towards the heads at Sony themselves for this horse crap. I have not found a single person insane enough to think that this is a good idea, other than them, of course. I'm all for respecting media opinions, but it's true. If you care about video games as much as I do yourself a favor and keep buying more physical games than digital. While you're at it, boycott Sony and avoid the PlayStation 6 like the plague. Don't ever buy it or play a game on it when it comes out, the same way you should never watch a movie made entirely with AI. And cancel your pre-orders of upcoming PlayStation games. The only modern console I would really recommend getting at this point is the Nintendo Switch 2. Yes, it's expensive, the first-party Nintendo games are ludicrously overpriced, and some physical games may only come in game keycards where you have to download the game over the internet before playing, but like I said, at least you'll still play and own physical games, and it has everything that was great about the original Switch and more. Other than that, everything old might as well be new again. I recommend more to get older used consoles and a collection of physical games for them from reputable sellers and classic game stores such as an NES, a Super NES, a Sega Genesis, an N64, a Game Boy, a Dreamcast, a DS, a Wii, an original Xbox, an Xbox 360, a PS2, a GameCube, anything to let Sony know that physical games actually matter even in the age of digital and streaming. Because if we don't boycott this, if Sony actually succeeds in their goal to wipe out physical games from the market, the PlayStation brand may not even exist anymore. By ending physical PlayStation games, they are literally asking to go the same route that Sega did when the Dreamcast flopped financially, where they stopped making consoles ever again and instead became a third-party developer for other platforms. But if everyone else is going to pull this stunt, including Nintendo one day, then the gaming industry might as well be dead. And if Sony is going to continue with AI and a PlayStation 6 with no physical games, then they absolutely deserve to lose PlayStation. And at that point, they should just go back to making other electronics and distributing movies and TV shows. I may sound like I'm going too far with this, but it's true. If they want the PlayStation brand to thrive again, they actually need to acknowledge that physical media is important and so are physical games. They need to acknowledge that people want to actually own their games on a disc or cartridge. Because as the old saying goes, if buying isn't owning, then pirating isn't stealing. And if they don't want their consumers to set sail on a ship for plunder in order to play their games, they need to backtrack on this anti-consumer decision to let go of physical games altogether. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like what I've been talking about, don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to my channel, and ring that bell to get notified whenever I put out a new video. And be sure to check out my other video on physical media that I did a while ago. And if you would like to support my work and get access to tons of rewards such as 1 to 2 day early access to both my videos and new episodes of the Danville Discussion podcast, then you can join the regiment at patreon.com/Caleb Dirksen. That's all for now, so once again, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves, have a fantastic day, and above all, Sony. This is Caleb, over and out.